I know it's been years, but you need to know. Mateo?
Is your son.
I hadn't thought about my ex-wife in years. Not consciously, anyway. I had carefully built a quiet life for myself, a peaceful world where the past stayed exactly where it belonged. So, when my doorbell rang late one evening, it felt wrong, like a tremor in a reality that had finally settled. I opened the door, and my heart just dropped. It was her. Older, thinner, and a ghost of the woman I had walked away from. Her eyes, once so full of confidence, now carried something heavier, a mix of fear and sheer determination. Every instinct screamed at me to shut the door. Just shut it and pretend this never happened, but curiosity is a funny thing. It has a way of silencing common sense, especially when the past kicks down your door. She said my name so softly, as if she was testing the air to see if she was even allowed to speak it anymore. I didn't invite her in, but I stepped aside. Suddenly, I needed answers to questions I didn't even know I was asking. Years ago, our marriage had imploded in a single night. She had dressed up for a party I had begged her not to attend. It wasn't about control. I knew the people, the environment, the kind of influence that lingered there. I had warned her clearly, and she had dismissed me just as clearly. When she walked out that door, something inside me just snapped. A few hours later, I received proof that confirmed my worst fears. I didn't confront her. I didn't wait around for excuses or explanations. I packed my entire life into my car and just vanished. I changed my number, my city, I changed myself. And now, here she was, standing in my living room, her hands trembling around a glass of water she barely touched. She told me she hadn't come to beg. She hadn't come to ask for forgiveness. She came because the truth had haunted her for years, and she couldn't live with me believing a lie anymore. What she told me next forced me to sit down. That night, the party hadn't gone the way I'd imagined. She admitted she had been reckless, completely dismissive of my feelings and careless with our boundaries. But she swore she had never intended to betray me. She told me she had trusted the wrong people, friends she thought were harmless, situations she thought she could handle. And then she said she had been drugged. At first, I didn't believe her. The words sounded too convenient, too clean of a story, but she didn't dramatize it. There were no tears for sympathy. She spoke slowly, carefully, as if every detail she recounted cost her a piece of her soul. She described waking up confused, disoriented, terrified. The horror of realizing she had been used while she was barely conscious. She told me about the hospital visit, the police report, the tests that confirmed substances in her system she had never taken willingly. And then she delivered the final blow. She had tried to call me, over and over and over again. By the time she finally got home, I was gone. The silence that filled the room after her confession was unbearable. For years, I had built my identity around being the victim of her betrayal. And while she was entirely innocent, her choices that night still mattered. The reality was so much more complex than the simple story I had told myself to survive. She wasn't asking me to come back. She wasn't even asking for forgiveness. She just needed me to know that she hadn't willingly destroyed our marriage, even if she had unknowingly put it right in the line of fire. She told me about the legal battles that followed, the friendships that collapsed, the deep shame she had carried completely alone. She told me how she rebuilt her life, brick by painful brick, never remarrying, never truly moving on. Listening to her, I had a painful realization. That night had broken both of us, just in different ways. So I told her my truth, too, that even if the physical betrayal hadn't been intentional, the emotional one had started long before she walked out the door that night. The dismissal, the disrespect, the way she had treated my fears and our boundaries like they were just minor inconveniences. That was the part that had truly ended us. We sat there in silence for a long time. The anger inside me was gone, replaced by a cold, hard clarity. Some relationships don't end because of one big event. They crumble slowly as trust erodes long before the final crack appears. When she finally stood up to leave, she looked relieved. Not hopeful, not desperate, just lighter. At the door, she turned back and said something that has stayed with me ever since. I didn't come here to get you back. I came so you could finally let go of the wrong story. After she left, I sat alone in the quiet and realized she was absolutely right. For all these years, I had carried a version of the past that made it easier to heal, but it wasn't the whole truth. Letting go of that version didn't mean reopening old wounds. It meant finally closing them properly. That night didn't change my life, but it clarified it. I didn't run back to the past. I didn't start questioning my present. I simply allowed the real truth to exist without having to rewrite my future around it. Sometimes closure isn't about reconciliation. Sometimes it's just about understanding. And sometimes the most powerful truth isn't just about what happened, it's about what you choose to do once you finally know it. Thanks for watching. If this story resonated with you, consider subscribing for more. See you next time.